Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we're going to be sitting down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing. It is Western Week here on the Daily Ratings, so we're jumping back to 1956, and we're covering The Searchers, starring John Wayne, directed by John Ford. We're then jumping to 1960 with The Unforgiven, directed by John Huston. And finally, our newly released, now in theaters film, Eddington, directed by Ari Aster. So, get your boots on, get ready. Let's hear what Vincent Daly has to say about these movies. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Mr. Vincent Daly, how are we doing over there?
Thomas, big director
My
week.
Western
Big Western
buddy.
week.
My Western buddy.
My cowpoke.
It is. It's Western Week. We didn't plan it for this, I don't necessarily think.
Yeah.
It's more so we knew we wanted John Wayne because we're still in John Wayne July.
I think Ari Aster is a massive fan of the podcast. He knew John Wayne July was around. He's like, I'm going to make a Western for these fuckers.
So, okay. I mean, I kind of think it's a big week. First of all, we have Ari Aster back. And we covered him once before on the podcast for a brand new film, which was Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Didn't go over so hot.
No.
So
definitely not.
Now he's back with his second blank check film from A24.
Sure.
And, and then we're...
Which makes you question why that was the case coming off of Beau is Afraid.
It was a two-picture deal already.
Oh, interesting.
So from the jump, he was able to make blank check 2 films.
I guess
First was Beau is Afraid.
2 hits for them, so that's what you get.
The problem is, Eddington... We'll get into Eddington then.
Yeah.
It's not having the box office at once. It's not necessarily a massive failure, but it kind of is.
Sure.
Not as bad as Beau is Afraid.
It got a lot of actors behind it, so I feel like it feels like a bigger production.
Oh, Martin Scorsese came out and said he absolutely loved it. One of the best movies of the year, something like that. And then we were covering John Huston, the director, for The Unforgiven, because we watched him with the treasure of this
Sierra Madre.
Really liked the guy. Want to start going through his catalog. And like I said, it's John Wayne July. We were doing John Ford, The Searchers. People don't understand. We're on episode 196.
Yep.
People don't understand the history we have with this movie.
This was really like
it's a long
one
time
in the
coming.
making. Yeah,
It's almost exactly right.
It's almost
happening. It's actually
as if
happening.
we were to cover Forrest Gump or something like that.
It is that big.
Where we first started, not necessarily butting heads, but talking about film and being like, no, we like different things.
It's so true. We have any opening notes before we really get into that film?
Well,
any additional titles? What do we got?
Well, it's Big Director Week is the title, or Big Western Week. It's a shame that Ari Aster is not named John Aster. Otherwise, we would have the Battle of the Johns.
Yeah, seriously.
I would say a huge upside to pairing these all together is actually just for The Searchers and The Unforgiven. Both of them were written by Alan Lee May.
The novels were.
Yes, the original author of these stories. What's hysterical, folks, is that Tom and I had no idea about this while choosing the movies this week. And it really worked out because I feel like, again, all 3 of these directors, really big directors. I mean, maybe that's a huge compliment to Ari Aster putting them next to John Ford and John Huston.
Yes, it is.
A little bit much, but all like really creative forces in their industries, in their respective times. So I really liked pairing all these together. Certainly Searchers and Unforgiven are kind of in their own dance together.
Yeah.
especially for sharing the author and sharing a lot of themes. Honestly, there is nothing I could have paired with Eddington to be prepared this week for it. So,
and we watched it together.
Yeah.
So I can buttress or help out in that review anywhere you want. And I'm really happy I watched that.
Oh, yeah,
especially
absolutely.
for this Western week. I'm glad I watched it. I almost feel like if I'm going to watch Ari Aster, I've been listening to some reviews of the film after we had seen it.
Sure. It's polarizing. You're curious about what people's thoughts are. Sometimes
I think people who are in the movie world, even just a little bit, even like us, think Ari Aster is more of a recognizable name than he actually is. I don't think he's a recognizable name for almost anyone unless you're in
that A24 crowd.
Yeah, unless you're in that world a bit.
Yeah.
And then he is kind of a household name, like a Sean Baker or something like that.
Yeah.
And relatively somewhat young, up-and-comer who makes films totally their own way.
Yes.
They're auteurs all the way and do things in their own style, like a Sean Baker, an Ari Aster, a Wes Anderson.
Sure.
Even. Like, I just feel like Aster is one of those guys where you're going to spend at least one day in film school studying him. Seriously,
right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Baker gets a day. Wes Anderson is the king of that. But that's who Ari Aster is.
I think you definitely got to take a day after watching any of his movies just to digest it. So that's how I know Aster.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, really excited to talk about all these films this week. And like you said, we'll get into Eddington. There's a lot there to unpack.
But first,
yeah, there's even more to unpack. There's more personal connection to this film to unpack.
This is such a huge movie. It's crazy how many people have talked about this film.
Yep.
I will do my best this podcast episode to not be just to
John Wayne fanboy.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be horrendous for you. I hope.
Listen, I want you to be horrendous because we're not watching this movie again because this is the third time watching it. So get it all out.
No, okay, so let's get into it. We're jumping back to 1956.
Yeah.
I could talk. I've been learning a lot even about this. There's a great John Ford podcast I've been listening to.
Oh, really? Wow.
So I'll kind of take it easy a little bit. Let's not make this an hour and 20 minutes just on this movie. But it's 1956. Wayne spends a lot of his 50s doing war films. And not that he doesn't do other Westerns in the 50s, but it's definitely, when you look at this decade,
yes,
he doesn't do all too many of them.
Yeah, and also the temperature of what people want out of the theater experience has changed.
Absolutely.
A little bit. Yeah.
You have John Ford, obviously has been in the business and totally acclaimed by this moment. But apparently in 56, he was almost treating this, or this almost needed to almost be a comeback for him.
Oh, really?
He had a very bad 1955.
Okay.
And I forget the film that he was working on, but it was Henry Fonda punched him. And brought him to tears. John Ford to tears.
Wow.
And I forget the other main co-star too, but it was a film that didn't end up doing great, and it was horrible production. John Ford finally got a taste of his assholiness back at him because of Fonda and then the other lead.
Wow.
There was also talk that he was so big in the 40s and he just wasn't coming up so hot anymore.
Sure.
So he put a lot of energy, a little bit more extra energy into this film as well. But anyway, it's The Searchers. You start things off. Tell us about the film, and we will definitely be taking this one back and forth.
Yeah. Well, folks, this one has always haunted me, especially when we just started the website as one of Martin Scorsese's favorite films. Tom has always thrown this in my face. Especially years ago when I really didn't like John Wayne at all. You know, in addition to dedicating a month after John Wayne, I feel like I see old movie stars in just a little bit of a different way.
Yeah,
where
old movies in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just able to appreciate career movements, what they were able to do when no one else was doing that type of thing, that type of stuff. And, well, Mr. Scorsese, let's get it out of the way. I gave this film a 49 many years ago.
I refuse to put it on the site, in fact. It is
not on the site.
No.
I thought you took it down in anticipation.
No.
It was never on the site.
It was never on the site.
I outed myself then.
I refuse to put it on. It's highlighted blue right now.
Yeah, in the...
Meaning this needs another watch.
This needs going over it.
But that was one of the initial batches. That was almost funny when you and I were just sitting on the couch saying, what's our initial batch of films?
Yep.
And I was just throwing out titles and you were scoring, basically.
Yep.
You did kind of give it a 59 after a second watch, I believe. We did watch this kind of twice together.
Yeah, we definitely watched it twice, for sure. I remembered a lot about this movie, too.
Way before the daily rating stuff, though, even.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know when to interject. I will. Let me.
You interject whenever you want.
Let me get this out of the way now.
Movie.
Yeah.
This might as well be a birthday pick.
Let me get this out of the way now. It's not just Martin Scorsese. It's Steven Spielberg. It's Schrader. It's like so many people of Hollywood. I mean, Orson Welles, with the great interview with him at one point, he goes, anytime I want to learn something along the lines of I want to learn tricks of directing or anytime I want to get inspired, he goes, I go back to the three greats in film. That for me is John Ford, and John Ford.
Wow, that is an awesome quote.
But The Searchers is used in so many different aspects of other people's movies. I mean, even Schrader said that Ethan Edwards, he's kind of based off the main guy Taxi Driver with it.
Interesting.
I mean, it
certainly relates to Scorsese. I mean, I feel like Scorsese declaring this as his favorite movie makes a lot of connections, even to the point of how you close the news show this week, talking about how
his quote,
the famous and wonderful Goodfellas Dinner with Mom, with Mama Scorsese, comes from an early scene in this movie.
Yeah, basically the opening shot, almost, kind of, and then. Even Quentin Tarantino, who has always hated John Ford and never really liked this movie, there's a great, quick 4-minute clip of him saying, because he wrote that great book on cinema, Quentin Tarantino, and he said, before I came out with the book, I wanted to watch it again because I hadn't seen it in a while. And Tarantino got turned around on the film.
Wow.
Not as much praise as a Spielberg or Scorsese.
Sure.
But even he liked it. And folks, in the show notes and in the description of the show, I'm going to throw in 3 links to YouTube videos. One of them is Scorsese talking about the film. It's Quentin talking about the film. And then the Joe Mankiewicz guy from TCM talking to Brad Bird for 10 minutes about John Wayne and the Searchers. Wow. So I threw that in there too. But this is well-loved. It's in, oftentimes in lists known as one of the best Westerns, if not the best. And
absolutely.
Even AFI made it. It's in the top 10 of greatest movies of all time.
Sure.
So that's the prestige of this over the decades of people going back and looking at this
absolutely.
film.
And I think there's a lot to appreciate it. I think originally when I watched this many years ago and then watched it again with you, it was trying to almost grasp at straws of just why don't I like this movie? Why am I not seeing what these legends of the industry are seeing? And now third watches deep onto this, I still don't really care for it that much today. I'm not saying it's a 49. We are going to give it a bump.
Okay.
But Mr. Scorsese, I gave this film a 49, and I still don't really like it that much today. So
wow,
you hit the nail on the head. It's tops of all Western lists. You get any kind of Western list, you get any kind of John Wayne list, is going to be at the very top, always consistently is ranking up there. So it's another John Ford Western off the list to knock out for our big director week. When it comes to wanting to give any film a second, a third chance, it was going to be this.
Yeah.
So every time I watch this, I would say what doesn't jive with me is how cartoonish the opposition is portrayed of these Native Americans. I feel like that's shown a lot, and shown in how popcorn the movie is, how blockbuster the movie is, a little bit in just how, again, cartoonish a lot of the aspects feel. I mean, the villain is named War Chief Scar, like it's a Disney movie or something like that. I mean, it's
awesome, badass.
Oh yeah,
Scar is a great name.
Scar, yeah. Combined with the goody 50 style that I've never really jived with, we've talked many a times about, just me not liking a lot of movies in this decade. It's just a movie I felt originally that it had little to offer in modern day, and I think that's the biggest change for me now. I don't think it is a completely a movie that you don't need to watch. I do think for cinephiles, I think for myself even, I got a lot from this third rewatch. I think watching it a bit older now, it just opened my eyes to some complexity under the surface, especially around John Wayne's character in this, which I really just didn't like originally at all on the first 2 watches. Even pairing it with the Unforgiven this week, I think the understanding the original purpose of these stories through the author's original intentions, there's something there that I'm walking away with a lot more appreciation here to justify the bump.
Okay, excellent.
From being something that I would say, otherwise wasn't worth checking out. I do think there is something here to unpack, and if anything, a lot to unpack here. So
my biggest thing too coming out of this was because we are now in a new era for you and Wayne. This has the best of what I feel like you like Wayne in it. It's guys dark Wayne.
It is, yeah, it's messy Wayne.
And that's kind of where you love darker Wayne. You do like that little bit more grizzled character when he's doing that.
Sure. The hunt for him being a villain.
Right. And apparently we get it more than we actually thought.
Yeah. I thought it was like a once and done thing.
No, he kind of does it. Yeah. But okay, keep going.
Based on the 1954 novel of the same name, The Searchers is a Western epic by means of telling a pure cowboy and Indian story, and having many other blockbuster traits to it, with the Texas Indian War giving us our backdrop of the often terrifying life on the open range. John Wayne plays Ethan Edwards, a Civil War veteran who is slowly revealed to have a slight bloodthirst in him as he wanders back to his relatives after 8 years away. When his return to his extended family is cut short by the Texas Rangers, he comes back to a tragedy on the homestead with only his nieces, Lucy and little Debbie, missing, taken by the fierce Comanche. This ragtag group of Rangers are no match for the Comanche, however, and quickly Wayne splits off with his half-nephew, played by Jeffrey Hunter, in an attempt to find these poor girls. The hunt prolongs for many a year, either for the impossible goal of getting these girls back, or this inner darkness driving Wayne forward against the equally bloodthirsty Scar. I think I'll start with John Wayne, because really it's where I think in a passive way, I look at this performance and I kind of play a little game in my head of just like, where does this match up against other Wayne performances now?
Yeah, sure.
Especially knee deep in, doing a month dedicated to him. I think previously John Wayne's character, his kind of depiction is what I had an issue with. Ethan in this has some real issues with prejudice, especially towards Jeffrey Hunter's character, who he grills for being part Cherokee. I think before talking about this, I feel some context is needed for Native American tribes and their different aggressions in the 1800s. Comanche, or Comanche, as Wayne says in this. They're not exactly a peaceful tribe. And if anything, we're infamous for raiding and pillaging. Honestly, there isn't much dialogue separating the hate characters have depending on which tribe there is, but there was a real threat to settlers that they dealt with in the West, and that is exactly what's kicking off this story. My issue anytime I watch this film, though, is how John Wayne is portrayed. For me, I don't know, I really come back to it. I feel like he's distinctly unlikable in this.
Wow.
And not in a way that I found enjoyable in the ways that he finds the villain, because even though he has these unlikable qualities, for me, he's still portrayed in a way that he is the hero. He is the cowboy, saving the day to this. I feel like he's unlikable for me because of how he throws out these soft slurs at his nephew and how headstrong the character is, to the point of being a little bit of annoying on screen. But again, all of this is in context of he's coming out of these scenes always shown to be heroic more than anything, not divisive, not problematic, not, complex, where I think watching a bit older now, a lot more seasoned with watching older films, I feel like there is some depth to that character. He is complex, and he is messy, and he's morally gray.
Big time.
Yeah, I think initially I just saw this as kind of a 50s semi-racist depiction, but here
it's much
now
deeper
watching,
than that,
there's so much more to it.
Even when tackling the film, just reading up on it a little bit and doing production talk, it was definitely more thought than just an actual racist like John Ford having at it,
or just like throwing some lines in there for whatever reason.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit much more purposeful.
Yeah, and that's exactly where the context of the original author that really came in handy. Again, completely by chance we paired these two together, but in researching that original author, there's something there that he was trying to tackle these type of stories and this type of topic in Unforgiven, or The Unforgiven. I got to be careful because Clint Eastwood Unforgiven. That he's tackled a lot more directly, and to be honest, a lot less successful in pulling off like the feeling of what this movie is going after. When it comes to that, there's a lot more context that I'm able to appreciate, and a lot that I'm able to see in this performance that it's not even. I mean, if anything, I love when Wayne is a villain. I like that because it dips into a little bit of hamminess of him being a villain. Here, it is a complex character. He's morally gray. He has a bloodthirst. You see him do some kind of messed up things that's not really addressed in a way. And I think, again, just watching that on the first time, I bounced off of it just saying like, oh, this is some, John Wayne 50s, doesn't fly anymore type shit.
And, well, I'll even kind of make it a broader step almost, where a lot of people, John Wayne, approaching him new or fresh, or just because you know the name and you actually sit down and watch a Wayne film then, or how we were when we were younger watching him. There's this. I mean, there's a big thing out there that John Wayne can't act. And going through his films a lot, especially as we picked it up with the podcast and me and just on my own watching more, he's got chops in different ways. He is Duke. He is right. He is that pilgrim, you know, no doubt. But he actually can act. And what we get in this is kind of his most dark character that we've seen yet.
I think so. Most dark because it's not even almost said out loud that he's evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To the point where John Wayne wasn't even a huge fan of this movie. And people say, what were some of your favorite movies that you've worked on?
Yeah.
He almost never says this film.
Wow.
Because he likes to be that positive guy.
Sure.
And, he really takes that in a post-Clint Eastwood world. He definitely went that route of good guy, nice guy in the 60s and the 70s.
Great comparison, too.
Because he was he didn't even like Ethan Edwards. But to me, I think he's doing a very good job at playing him. I really like Wayne in this.
Yeah, and that's exactly where my question comes about of just where does this actually rank in Wayne performances? Because I think there's a good argument that complexity to it, this is the best in the sense that
close to it.
He's never played something so morally gray. It's
always
Red
River.
Dry.
Right? Red River, he gets close.
Sure. But
he dressed him in black.
That's what I mean. It's almost a hammy villain performance, which I love. When we go back to our review on that, I love it to death.
Absolutely.
It's entertaining, but here I feel like there is, to his acting credit, I mean, and let's talk about the elephant in the room. John Wayne is a character of character actors.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This is maybe the perfect example of someone just being themselves. I feel like there's an argument in The Searchers that he is for the first or maybe the best time doing something really with his acting performance.
Yeah, 100%.
And again, originally, I just completely bounced off of that. Here, a little bit older, certainly a little bit more seasoned with watching older movies, I was able to pick up a lot more that it just didn't even register before.
Well, that right away just helps the film then.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have that buy-in,
yeah,
because that's huge. You need that in order for there's even a chance for you to enjoy this film.
Exactly.
And I liked it. I want to get this out of the way, too. I always liked this film. The joke between you and me, it was more so we have to watch it. The joke of it is it's Scorsese's favorite film.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest about it, and I texted you this, this was top 6 film. This was never my number one.
Sure.
It's on many people's number ones. It actually was never quite there for me because I had issues with the film. And watching it this past weekend, this was the most I ever enjoyed it. Because even now, not only am I getting older, but I'm even more seasoned than I ever was with Wayne.
Absolutely.
And it made a much bigger impact on me this weekend. Liked it more than I ever have.
Yeah.
Because, again, it just... Even I wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
And I think I like the moments that they maybe do call it out in a cold light, to say what's going on with this? No character really grills him in a major way. I mean, maybe Jeffrey's character hints at what are you doing? Why are you so bloodthirsty?
Right.
But one of my favorite pieces is right in the beginning. It's revealed that there's kind of a shady 3-year gap between the end of the Civil War and what Wayne is doing to get back to his extended family. He shows up with unmarked money, and it's what's going on there? Completely unresolved, by the way, which could maybe be a little frustrating. But I think, again, it adds to the grayness of this character. There's a lot going on there. And from time to time, we're just given glimpses into that darkness for how eager he is to continue this revenge journey.
It's a lot of the film.
Exactly.
There's actually not a lot of positive light being shown on him.
Yeah.
Almost ever.
Yeah. But I think overall it's still a slight problem I have is still, I don't know. He's even given, I don't know. I don't want to talk about spoilers too much. He's even given a bittersweet ending, which really made a difference for me, because I feel like a lot of scenes he's still portrayed as pretty heroic, and I still feel a little bit of the conflict of why I didn't like the movie in the original watches of this.
I think we kind of disagree on this point.
Okay, the very end?
No.
Okay.
As him being portrayed as the hero, oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
I've never even really seen him as the hero. I just see him as the veteran, the knowledgeable one, the one who
gets the job done.
He's been around the block, so you better listen to him because he'll keep you alive type deal.
Sure.
That's how I always kind of saw him.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely troubled, definitely has issues, definitely has the hothead temper on him. It's funny that that word just never really popped in my head. I think with my watches,
and maybe that's combined with persona on screen. John Wayne is always goody two shoes for the most part, so I feel like maybe that kind of conflates a little bit. But yeah, overall, I think this was probably one of the more negative aspects of why I didn't like this film outright. Found a lot more, not necessarily to love here, but certainly be interested around, and interested in like a plot reason as well. Just like, who is this guy?
Yeah,
like,
seriously.
What are these slightly shady, loose threads left out in the open? Like, again, perfect example is this unmarked money he has. So, but yeah, I think my main thing I wanted to get across though is that where do you think this really ranks as far as John Wayne acting and like capital A acting?
I think like top 3.
Yeah. I think it has to be there.
I don't even want to say first. I'm bad at just saying, oh, this is number 1 or something. So I always just throw it in a bucket.
Right.
Because I really do love him in other films for different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Top 3. I would just say top 3 because I love him. I love Red River. I was on such. I'll tell you what. I was on such a Wayne high. I was done.
You've been doing a lot of watching, just like on your own, not even referencing it. For the podcast.
I watched The Searchers, turned it off, and I was like, I gotta watch me. I kept the guys first 30 minutes of Red River because it's so good.
That's great.
But I would say top 3.
Yeah,
for sure.
Okay. I think undeniably, though, I think this is an excellent-looking movie. I don't know if it was because it was shot on VistaVision.
Yeah.
But everything from the color pop to gorgeous location shots, I mean, it's really incredible. I think the biggest thing I'm appreciating coming back to this is just like, wow, this is a dynamite-looking film today.
It's my first note is the film looks pretty great still for being 69 years old.
Yeah.
And the bigness of Monument Valley, which is a favorite filming location of John Ford, the bigness of Monument Valley comes through this screen. And I think it does have to do with this VistaVision, which is, and we were talking about it so much with the Brady Corbet stuff when The Brutalist came out. I wanted to make a note out of it on the news show. It makes a difference. There's shots on this film where I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, I get why people like John Ford so much. Because I watch other Westerns of the era, and you don't quite get this.
Yeah.
You don't. There's some, even towards the end of the film, I was still getting impressed by certain shots.
Absolutely. I would say the only thing that maybe falters is gunfights, which I feel like Ford was good at in previous Westerns.
There's not many of them.
Yeah, but it's all like, I don't know how I would describe the shot. It's like you see them shooting and then you see impact, not necessarily the action stitched together in a way.
To me, there's one great one towards the end. That's when they're on horseback. Because it's fast.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll be sped up and it's very obvious. I don't think that either doing a great job of covering it up or they're going that fast. That was pretty electric.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite shot, though, in reference to, I don't know, John Ford-isms, is basically, I forget if they've disbanded from the Rangers just yet, but the Comanche horses are kind of silhouetted on the horizon.
On either side?
Yeah.
That's when everyone's still together.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's when they have to cross the river. Ward Bond is still there.
Yep. Something about that, I mean, not only a genuinely stunning looking shot, but really reminded me of the John Ford cameo in Fabelmans where he's talking about the horizon, and you look at it, it's just like, oh yeah, this is like really interesting where he's placing the horizon super high, like
great shot, and a tense builder, a thrilling aspect to it, which this has. That's another thing for you and me where we're just too young. I wish this is one of the films that if I could go back and see it in theaters for the first time, It's this, because that's what people, Spielberg and Scorsese would say. Seeing John Wayne in this light was like shocking to them. I was reading some comments with this film and other YouTube videos, and people saying when they saw this, they had nightmares for the first week, or they couldn't sleep at night. It was truly got to them at the core.
Yeah.
Where now, 69 years later, it is a little bit rounded.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But no, I think that's a great example of just like, I don't know if John Wayne has done this much acting ever. And I like John Wayne now. I'm not trying to do that as a dig.
No,
but
it's
I really
not a dig.
do think like it's the first time, maybe not first time, I won't say that. But it is one of the shining examples of him actually breaking from the persona while still being John Wayne.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
He has to do something different a little bit.
Keeping on just how good this looked, too. Every single close-up of John Wayne's face is a winner. It's a winner shot.
It kind of has that Stagecoach vibe of where it's just like, wow, this is like almost like a money shot for him.
He gets multiple in this film.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, especially the one where they have to, the Union soldiers have come across some women that were previously captive from the Comanches. So they have to go see, okay, is this who we're looking for? And that John Wayne look at the end, where he zooms in, and he's got 5 o'clock shadow. He looks nasty. He looks like a nasty son of a bitch. And you can just tell all the bad thoughts going on in his head.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, yeah. I think originally I didn't love how kind of popcorn this film felt, how blockbustery this film felt, and it is kind of related to the visuals. I still think my takeaway was that this felt like a very Hollywood big production for Wayne. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on like, was this big for him? I know you said John Ford is in like a little bit of a redemption arc in his own career.
Yeah.
Was this the biggest that John Wayne did at the time in 56, or because it feels so much more larger than a 1956
it does.
movie.
I
mean, you put this
big.
side by side with The Unforgiven 4 years later.
I know.
This movie smokes it.
It's crazy. No, I mean, just, I don't know. I don't know if it just felt the exact same filming it, because you're in Monument Valley and it's John Ford, and this is what a bunch of extras, which you're used to. I don't know how it felt, but the turnout of it with the actual film itself is incredible.
Yeah.
Because you're right. It feels big, the movie.
Yeah, I mean, on a real note, though, I mean, there is just no way I can uphold an argument around not appreciating this in modern day.
Yeah.
Because of the production alone. You know what I mean?
And I want to take that when it felt popcorn. I don't know how it still holds up for you.
I still think it feels very blockbustery for what it's worth. And I mean,
so
it's before.
Are you saying that as a derogatory term? Because
no, just mainstream. I'm not even saying that in a hipstery kind of way of just like, oh, I gotta have like an artsy type of thing,
right,
or Oscar baity. But it just really did feel like, this is a movie for the masses.
Because this got that's fair. And this got closer to me because I don't see it as a popcorn thing. This is closer to me than Lawrence of Arabia. The bigness of it and the shots and the epicness. And if that's blockbustery, then I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And again, I think that's where just another area where I kind of bounced off it originally, but now I really do appreciate it quite a bit. Now, score-wise, like I said, this has to be a bump, but let me say I'm torn on doing so because not many movies have benefited from being rewatched this many times. You know what I mean? I feel like if I was like in prison, maybe we would have a chance to really give a revised score to everything. a lot of time
this is
on
a
my
big
hands.
one, though.
This is the what's the time chamber from Dragon Ball Z? I need a lot of time to get all this done. Originally, I was going to be a lot more harsh and a lot heavier in praise in some areas. I was going to be a lot more harsh in breaking down how I originally felt on this, which I did a lot here, but explaining how gunfights, the comedy notes, and romance, that romance subplot we get with Jeffrey's character, all are kind of throwaway qualities for me, if I'm being honest. It's not central to why I was appreciating this.
Okay.
And I think looking at some of my notes, it was more so of just like, yeah, it's not bad, but I don't care for it. But so I just kind of X that out. I think also equally, there are fundamental aspects I could have got stuck in the weeds, whether it's related to the production, like you said, Ford's filmmaking, even the pacing of how they tackle a really multi-year story, and how snappy and, if anything, how blockbuster it feels, how it moves along this pacing at a clip. What I can say for certain, though, is that out of Wayne's Westerns, It is not close to the top for me, but is still worth checking out to understand his legacy on screen, because I think it is probably the most important piece to his legacy that we've unpacked in this month. We're going to go ahead and give The Searchers 1956. The old was a 49. We're going to bump it to a 61.
Okay. It's 61%. Okay. That's fine.
It's in the right direction, at least.
I thought I did. After I watched this, I thought you were going to be kind of hyped on it. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of expecting high 70s from you. Not going to lie.
Okay.
We are out of the 49 zone. That's fantastic to say. It's it's just
the black eye is removed,
and it is a difference with you and I with westerns, because one thing we were picking up on together is maybe we actually like different westerns.
Oh yeah,
that was something we were kind of thinking about
absolutely
up until probably Wayne last year. So I think we just view it differently. Like I said, I liked it more. I watched it twice this weekend.
Wow.
And the second time, I'll just say this. I put it on the site, and I gave it a 2-shoe score. Okay. After watching it the second time, I was in love, and I bumped the score up. To the point where it shocked me.
Right.
Because there's criticisms of this film, and I used to have criticisms, and even heavy criticisms.
Yeah, like you said, you weren't coming into this thinking it's your personal fave.
I quite liked it. It wasn't my personal fave, exactly. Yeah. But I want to mention that it's an hour and 59 minutes, but to me, it almost feels like a 2-hour, 40-minute epic in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's something about it where it feels almost bigger and longer than it actually is. And usually that's not a good thing. Usually it's like, oh my God, end this, please.
Right.
And it didn't feel like that. There's a lot of dialogue in this, and I think it was written really well. Because to me, it sold a lot of the time. I also think our co-stars, the vast majority of the co-stars here, are doing a really good job. I like the different types of characters, and I like what those characters are doing on screen. I love Vera Miles in this.
Right.
And I even love, some of the ants and the other people. Ward Bond is a dynamo on film. What did you think of Ward?
I did like Ward. He's our guy. He needs to lose that mustache.
No way! By the way, Ward Bond filming this was 53 years old.
Wow.
He looks like a modern-day 78.
Yeah, for real.
Those guys aged back then. For real. I loved him in this, especially in that relatively opening scene, too.
Yep.
That's really kind of all my notes I have on it. I can go on and on and on and on. Is it perfect? The main co-star, Jeffrey Hunter, playing Martin, could he come across over-emotional and over-emotive at times? Yes, but I still think it's kept on the rails.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But you like the other side of this romance, so I thought it was kind of a throwaway romance, just in the middle somewhere in the movie. But if you enjoy her side of it, then I think there's maybe some substance.
Well, and I'm coming through where I really like the movie in whole, because the problem is if you look at those extra scenes as fluff, the movie itself I think could get too repetitive, and so I like being it broken up, and I like. It helps give us the amount of years that they're actually traveling. They're not on the trail constantly.
Right.
They need to take breaks.
Yes.
I really enjoyed this film. I was shocked with how much I liked it, and after all these years, have been watching Wayne for over 16 years and a lot lately, I just got it. You know what I mean?
Sure. It clicked.
Something clicked, and it was great. I had it at 2 shoes and a lace. This gets a full-blown 2 shoes, 2 laces. Whoa! Loved it. I think I have to go back to some of my other Wayne stuff. Did I give it 2 shoes on Red River?
I think you had to have.
I think I only gave it 2 shoes and a lace.
Wow.
I might have to retroactively go through stuff. I don't know. But Red River has a slump. The first half of Red River is better than the second half.
Yes.
This shocked me with how in I was still.
And it's that pacing. I really do think the pacing is excellent.
So 10 years ago when we were talking about this film, I had the issue with Act 2 in this.
Okay.
I thought it felt like a slog.
Sure.
Now, even if I think it's a slog, I somehow love it now. I can't quite wrap my arms around this massive film. But a true joy. Props to Wayne. I really like Wayne, and I'm glad there's one thing you got turned around on a little bit was Wayne's performance.
Yeah, so true, because it was really my main issue with the movie.
Right.
And I feel like if there was anything to turn me around on, even over the visuals, because again, this is a drop-dead gorgeous movie for the time and modern day, it was redeeming Wayne, or at least seeing that the film is attempting to make complexity to this character and not just be, and he's the good guy anyway.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so The Searchers with a 61%.
Doesn't feel right, does it? Doesn't feel right, does it? Mr. Scorsese, it doesn't feel right.
You do like it better than before, and that's great. I mean, I've had to. It's been 15 years of this. I have to take my losses when if this is the flower I can pluck, I'll pluck it. You know?
There we go.
49 to 61, absolutely, I'll take that, I guess. Okay, all right.
But truthfully, I think it does land, I mean, well, definitely north of 50s because it's, again, worth checking out modern day.
Yes.
Even if you're not into Westerns, I feel like there's a lot that you can appreciate here. There was still something that I wasn't like hugely sold on the movie, but I could recognize these elements. I could recognize also what was changing in my appreciation of it.
And most of all, you weren't sitting there like you weren't pissed while watching it.
No.
I mean, that was my biggest fear.
No. Where probably that first watch, I was pissed watching this.
I think I made you watch it. By the way, I think it was my birthday, and I was like, I want to watch this movie way before podcast.
Yeah, the forever returning birthday gun,
yes.
Gun to the head.
We should say too, you also just didn't like Wayne.
Oh yeah,
like that's a huge element.
Growing up, I was I wouldn't say like a diehard Clint Eastwood fan, but just in my head, I chose Clint Eastwood over Wayne as just more gritty, more 70s. You know,
he probably didn't think. I don't think he thought Wayne was a good actor at all.
Right.
The joke of Wayne, hello, Bill. You know what I mean? It's a joke until you dive deep into it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, truly, full on 2 shoes and a lace. Mm-hmm. Surprised myself.
That's great. And
a 61%.
Is anything at that caliber? Full score was
no, a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Now, John Wayne, no.
John Wayne. That's what I mean.
I might have to bump up.
Yeah, there might be some.
I'll have to check.
This is the danger of a rewatch. Rewatch. Yes, I need movies that I'm rewatching and I'm scoring worse.
Well,
just to
it's the 2 shoes. There are no rules. Like I can do whatever I want.
It's very true. Very true.
Okay, yeah. So I have Stagecoach, The Long Voyage Home, 3 Godfathers, The Cowboys, and and Red River.
All?
No, so
2 shoes, 2 lace?
I have 2 shoes and a lace
okay.
for Stagecoach, Long Voyage Home, 3 Godfathers, and Red River.
Yeah.
I have just 2 shoes, no laces tied for the Cowboys.
Okay.
I'm going to have to bump up potentially Red River. I'm going to have to watch Red River in full. Because the funny thing is, I guess
just cover it again.
I guess that's my favorite John Wayne movie, but I would still never say The Searchers is my favorite Wayne movie.
Okay.
It's weird. I don't know, but it's
no. I feel you. Because you still felt a way about the movie previously. If anything, that's kind of the exact thing I'm walking into with this rewatch.
Also, some of those I think I put too much of a pedestal, the 2 shoes and 2 laces.
Okay.
I think I need to be a little bit more lenient, give that out maybe once in a while, a little bit more. Anyway.
Let the dogs for a walk.
Or maybe I loved it that much. Maybe it is my favorite John Wayne film. Anyway. We're going super long on this film, sorry.
Yeah. We said not to make it long ago. Yeah, we made it long.
Well, I knew it was going to be something, you know what I mean? I mean, this is my Dune 2.
Sure. I don't know if I love that, but...
The Unforgiven came out in 1960, based on a novel by the same guy that did The Searchers.
Yes.
And 2 big actors. We have Audrey Hepburn, and we have Burt Lancaster.
Yes.
Which almost put Burt Lancaster in a lineup. I had no idea what he looked like.
Really?
Which was super disappointing.
Interesting.
That we're on episode 196.
Yeah, well, honestly,
my fault. My bad.
What shocked me is in some research around his career, apparently he was like much more of like a romance heartthrob than I expected.
Like a badass boy, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. Which is I don't get from his acting at all. But I guess for the birds.
But here we are, directed by John Huston, which is, like we said, huge film catalog.
Yes.
We really like Treasure Sierra Madre. And get into this film, and I watched the first hour of it.
Yeah, which I can't tell you how much that disappoints me. Exclusively
just
for
that's one disappointment each for this episode, I guess.
Little tit for tat.
Well, based on your review here, we'll see if I return to it.
It's just interesting in the context that these are 2 stories on different sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
There really is like a different way to almost tackle what's trying to be slightly tackled in Searchers. But yeah, you started off perfect. I mean, Treasure of Sierra Madre, huge hit for me. And I wanted to fit in another John Huston-directed Western before the month closed out. He has a few, but honestly, this one jumped out to me for no good reason. And turns out, actually had a great reason tied to it. It was hard to really find a modern Western to match whatever we got with Eddington. But like we opened the episode with, this is a happy accident pairing the two of the most iconic adaptations together of author Alan Lee May. The tone of this film looked to be a lot less mainstream and a lot more critical towards its subject matter, though. And even outside the direct comparison to The Searchers, the gravity of characters in this stands out even among the Westerns we've covered on the podcast. I honestly don't know what I would compare this to. I'd probably compare this more closely to Oscar bait than the Westerns that we would cover.
Okay.
Both the novel and the film attempt to spotlight a level of de facto racism found in the Old West and ties into the prejudice that we touched on already that results by living side by side with tribes that want to destroy everything you stand for. Again, tribes that vary, tribes that are entirely warlike and entirely aggressive. I feel like there is a kind of a messy conversation we can have about the depictions of Native Americans in films over time and really the context of what tribe they're talking about from film to film. Mm-hmm. It's not always just, we need a bad guy in our Hollywood movie. You know what I mean? Sure. There is a conversation of context there. Most of all, though, this has some rough language used to show how hatred overtakes our characters, regardless of the bonds they've forged over the years of knowing each other. And while this has way more slurs present in the story than our last movie, it's also a lot more adult in tackling the concept of how people and society react to what they see as a common enemy. Not that ratings were around back in the day. I don't know.
Like the MPAA.
Yes, yeah. This, in modern day, is a rated R. Searchers is rated G. I don't think that's great for Searchers. That doesn't make sense, rated G. But there is a degree there that they're kind of semi after the same topic, but the approach to that topic and the story, exactly, it's so different. Mm-hmm. So, The Unforgiven, again, not to be confused with Clint Eastwood's Western Unforgiven, is a Western drama with a small dose of thriller that was totally unexpected. The story attempts to show us a family struggle to stay together when their world is recontextualized by who they are surviving against. The lovely Audrey Hepburn plays Rachel Zachary, an adopted young sister waiting for her very overprotective brother, Ben, played by Burt Lancaster, to come home from a cattle drive. The Zachary family, however, is being harassed and stalked by a one-eyed buffalo hunter, a disturbing figure ranting about the doom of the family, all because of Rachel's suspected origins coming from the local Kiowa Indian tribe. Now, Rachel may be young, but she already has the interest of any man she meets. But constantly, the shadow of her heritage causes tension, especially when the Kiowa tribe shifts between aggression and peaceful relations with the settlers. When the truth unfolds about Rachel, Ben stands alone for what he believes is right, even against some of his own family. But even he might be too stubborn for his own good to ask what his sister wants, fostered or not. I think this was, again, just a fascinating head-to-head this week because, honestly, with all three directors, there's a real interesting conversation around just, like, the genre of Western, how broad it could be. We talked about this earlier in the month of just, like, almost like how I would always give a little bit of context to what type of sci-fi this is. It's so broad, like, I feel like we need that more with Westerns. Not that it's, like, a huge genre anymore, but like going back retroactively and like giving some modifiers to calling what kind of Western this is. I think
it is smart because you can't just say Western.
Exactly.
What you're going to dive into with that is just a plethora of things.
Exactly. I would put more emphasis on the drama, for instance, of this. This felt Oscar baity. I'm surprised it didn't get a single nomination at the Oscars. Same with Searchers. It's like, what? So
I didn't even look at the year.
I guess hate for the Oscars goes way back. They were always getting things wrong.
I tagged this with romance, too, because I saw other people tagging the romance. Does that count?
It does. By the end, it counts.
Okay, gotcha.
For sure. So let's not get twisted. As far as that head-to-head goes, the visuals and pure entertainment of The Searchers smokes this movie. Like, smokes this movie. And this is 4 years older.
I told you I watched an hour of this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I turned this off, and then that's when I started watching Circus the second time. I just needed
the
more.
Head-to-head. It lost hard in the head-to-head. But I think my argument for this is it's a lot more atmospheric. Mm-hmm. The atmosphere that drew me in here is, again, this slight dose of thriller that is just like, did not expect at all.
Yeah, it's discomforting.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a disturbing vibe to this ghostly figure that stalks the Zachary family. Charles Blickford plays this character, and just single-handedly is the source of where I was interested in this movie at all. I really wasn't interested in the unpacking of societal norms and the racism angle of it. It was because, like, as I'm watching this, I'm like, not only is this guy creepy in like a backwoods Deliverance kind of way, but I found him actually kind of frightening for how self-assured he was in attempting to unravel this family.
Yeah. I concur. It's creepy. He was a creepy dude.
Yeah, really unexpected.
To the point where,
if anything, I thought the reveal was going to be that he was a ghost or something like that.
I was getting annoyed that no one was just shooting him. It's like, you're on our property. We clearly don't like you.
So true.
Like, go shoot him.
So true. Especially like the Zachary family specifically.
Right, yes.
Like, what the hell? I think what's interesting about this is that by 1960, audiences were much more comfortable with darker elements in the genre, and I just have a hard time watching this and not seeing a bit of Hitchcock's influence here. Not to cross wires on our months,
right.
on our themed months, but how this character is portrayed, even with a legend like John Huston directing, there's something here that I feel Hitchcock's hand a little bit, and maybe changing the taste or the palette of what people wanted out of movies at the time. So acting performances, though, have a lot to live up for me, because honestly, I'm surprised just this didn't get any award nominations, and it feels more than a bit Oscar baity at times. I had big expectations walking into this because of Burt Lancaster. One of my new favorites, one of my new all-time favorites is Sweet Smell of Success.
Of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he actually ended up winning Best Actor at the 61 Oscars for a movie he starred in the same year called Elmer's Gantry. I guess it's like he plays like a priest or something. I don't know. I feel iffy about bringing up like movies I'm not aware of when occasionally I touch on like a sports movie or something like that. You're just like, how could you not know this? I forget what we had previously like that, but
Hoosiers. I remember.
Yeah, it was still Hoosiers. Hoosiers. What a terrible name. But both Burt and Audrey, they're just they're solid in a classical sense.
You can feel it
exactly
off the screen.
They got a lot of monologues to just show their chops. A lot of duo scenes of just them together, either riding on the horse and talking to each other. Just felt Hollywood in a different way. Felt Oscar baity in an old way. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Burt always gearing his performance to show how this character is conflicted between responsibilities and his true anger, I thought was very interesting. I hate to say, but Audrey Hepburn, I mean, she's so beautiful in this. It almost became distracting.
It's crazy how good looking she is.
She's so good. What's crazy is that there's a secondary character that is not getting swooned over by the town or by this, I don't know, this collection of neighbors. I don't know what you would call it. And she's like pretty gorgeous still, and it's just like it's almost like the movie was making a point of just like, no, this is like next level. This is you don't understand.
Still, my favorite is Vera Miles in The Searchers.
I
love Vera Miles.
We talked a little bit.
Still with us today, by the way.
Oh, really?
95, 96 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
John Wayne's son, the oldest son, still with us. Patrick, and he's in The Searchers.
Oh, okay.
Just had his 86th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
No.
Audrey Hepburn is like a classic, of course.
Yeah. But story-wise, I think, is where their characters get cut a bit short. This movie was trending to be a lot better score-wise for, I want to say, almost like 98% of the movie. And unfortunately, the film ends a little abruptly, and for me, just felt like it did not give resolution to the issues it brought up. I'm not looking for this movie to have the answer to racism in the Old West. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But I did feel like inappropriately optimistic at a time where again, no spoilers, but at the end, everything has gone wrong. Like anything possible in this story that has been set up has gone wrong. And it just ends on this almost whiplash optimistic note that just didn't make sense. And it's still, like, reflecting on the film, really chipped away at this, unfortunately. I mean, I think
you walked away kind of, it's sad enough with you.
Yeah. Where I was just
or stayed with you.
Yeah, like almost the ending is enough to not sink the movie, but certainly not like earn a rewatch or anything like that.
Wow.
So a slight bit shame there. I really did love pairing these movies together though this week, and it's because both deal with the dark side of our main characters, and certainly both are trying to show how frontier survival was often living in total fear. The Unforgiven shows how that environment defines our characters a lot more, and how fear twists our perception, affecting even our strongest bonds. And in that sense, by the end, it kind of became the perfect lead into Eddington. We're going to go ahead and give the Unforgiven 1960 a 60 on the dot.
A 60 on the Unforgiven with a 60. Excellent. Okay, yeah. Wow.
I think... really, I don't know if I would seriously argue for this being a doubleheader, but this is a great doubleheader. I mean, maybe a minted doubleheader.
That's so funny. All right, so The Unforgiven with a 60%. Both these films are super easy to find if you're interested. So check them out after we've talked on them now. If you're interested now, go check them out. 60% for The Unforgiven from 1960. Okay, folks, before we get on to our last film, our film in theaters, we just want to remind people that the Daily Ratings is going off the value for value model. We are listener supported, we're producer supported. So, Vin and I aren't going to have any advertising here on the Daily Ratings. We're not going to have paywalls or tier structures where we force you to pay a certain amount to get extra content. Everything that Vin and I do, it's out there. It's for everybody for free, technically. But if you're enjoying yourself, you're listening to the podcast, the new show, you're using the website, we look at that as value in your pocket. Can you send us value back in our pocket? It's value for value. And that's why we say we're completely listener supported. And when you donate, when you send a donation in our way, you become an actual legitimate credited producer of the Daily Ratings. Because just like in Hollywood, when you financially support a project, you're a producer of the project. And with that, we want to bring you into the conversation. So when you produce, when you send in a donation, send in along a producer note. This could be questions, comments, critiques. It could say, ask us anything, say anything, start a conversation, add to a conversation, whatever you want. You can send us an email at tom.vin@thedailyratings.com. It's our email address, so send in a producer note when you send in a donation. Head to thedailyratings.com, go to the donations tab, and everything right there, it's all laid out for you. We have some fun set donations if you want, or the big value for value button is right there on the site, because it's any amount that you want. Everyone's got their own finances, and you might be getting a different kind of value. If you're just checking in a few times a year because you're interested to hear what we have to say, maybe that's not as valuable as someone who's listening to everything every single week. That's why we let you peg a number to the way you want. For instance, we have an executive producer, and I think a new producer of the show.
Yeah.
We have Joel, I want to say Villanueva.
No, that's our joke with Denny Villeneuve.
We do have a Denny Villeneuve situation, but Joel Villanueva or Villeneuve?
Okay.
Or Villanueva? I don't even know. Villanueva. Joel, thank you so much. You're an executive producer of episode 196. And here's the thing, folks. With value for value, it can be as big or as small as a donation. Joel donated in $3.93. And I love this donation.
You love that number.
And he set up, it's awesome. And he set up, I believe he set up a monthly reoccurring donation too.
Wonderful.
So every month it's like, hey, here you go. Here's a cup of coffee. Here's whatever.
Absolutely.
Joel, we thank you, man, so much. You are executive producer of 196, and we love that you're getting some type of value from the Daily Ratings. It's great to see. Again, it's as big or small as you want. And every little bit goes a very long way. And Vin and I really do appreciate it. We've got costs that keep up with this as shoestring of a budget that we can put ourselves on. Since it's just me and Vin doing this and doing all of the work. there's still costs involved. Yep. And we can't tell you, just like a monthly donation of $3.93 is incredible. And we absolutely appreciate it. So once again, Joel, thank you so much. And I don't think we got a donation note from
I don't think so. Yeah, Joel, feel free to write in. I mean, if anything, maybe when we have these times that someone donates in and doesn't write in, we can kind of throw a prompt them way. You know, if you want to say, what's your favorite movie, Joel, or something like that, you know, we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's tom.vin@thedailyratings.com. That's our email address. So thank you so much, executive producer, EP of 196. Folks, if you want to be an executive producer of episode 197 next week, then just head on to thedailyratings.com and stop by the donations tab. Okay, with that, Vin, we're in
how do we?
we're in theaters. This by far is our longest film of the week.
It was way crowded.
Is it 240? Oh boy, was it crowded! I'm looking around thinking, just they put this in the tiny theater. We need to be bumped up.
Yeah,
that was the most cramped I've been since Alien Romulus.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't know when I've been in a theater that crowded. And
we were sandwiched. You and I were sandwiched.
Yeah. So I that's where I was even listening to your news show. I was curious if Eddington cracked top 5 because it's like
there's some big movies out. This is a summer block. This is a summer of blockbusters.
Yeah.
It didn't though. Not even close. It came in 7th.
Oh,
it's in over 2,000 theaters.
What's 6th?
It made $4.2 million, a budget of 30. So.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not great.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not a win, but we'll
By the
see.
way, everyone well-behaved in this film.
Yeah.
In theater, I mean.
Right.
Not in the film.
Yeah.
It's a lot to set up. It's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You take it where you want. It's 2.5 hours, rated R. We'll take it back and forth.
Sure. Well, let's talk a little bit of why I leaned away from an Ari Aster week on the podcast, where otherwise I've been really excited about every other director we've been able to return to as, you know, they're making films this year.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of like repeats that we've touched on the podcast in some capacity already and coming around the bend with this. A director's previous work it's naturally a part of their marketing moving forward. And I'm sure A24 is still happy with Aster being one of their golden boys, pumping out strange experiences. If anything, Aster is the purest example of a writer-director combo, not letting genre define his projects and instead letting inspiration lead him to what's next. For me, however, Aster's career has been mostly misses, and while I would love to clear up my thoughts on why films like Hereditary are scored very low on the site, or while Midsommar is ranked so highly, I felt that none of that work would give us insight into what I see as a new era for Aster, or kind of a certain maturing he has now in these last 2 projects.
How many films? 4 films.
4, yeah.
Okay, and it's in what order?
Hereditary, Midsommar, Beau is Afraid,
and then now Eddington.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Now typically people say that Hereditary is his best. Second is Midsommar.
Yes.
And you, not so much. You really like Midsommar.
Yes, I like Midsommar for a very specific reason of it just kind of being, I don't know, what I've always said as a horror movie in major key. Like, it's like a weird, like, trying to be uplifting almost horror movie. Very odd.
And Pugh's performance you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Hereditary, I will leave for whenever we tackle that.
That's fine. That's
almost
fine.
like The Searchers is very low, below the 50 mark, and maybe even a black eye on the site.
And it's actually on the site.
Yeah, right.
We didn't have to say anything about The Searchers.
Yeah.
You brought it up.
I wanted to out myself. I wanted to.
Okay.
But mainly after his release, Beau is Afraid being straight up one of the hardest movies I've ever reviewed as far as the review goes. It seemed like either his clout or ability to get financing for his projects has evolved what type of movies he makes. And that's what I mean, that there's though he only has 4 movies, I feel like post Beau is Afraid, it marks a tiny bit of a new era for Aster.
Okay.
A maturing for his type of projects. And we'll have to see how successful this new era is after, I guess a disappointing weekend. We'll see if he's allowed to have this new era. Described by our director himself, Eddington is pitched as a contemporary Western where 6 shooters are replaced with phones. To me, it feels like a pretty much middle of the road split between half satire comedy and half reenactment. of the craziness we all went through in 2020, but in a way that feels like he took a bullet list of every single talking point of the year and blended it all together into one broad stroke. I say that as kind of a negative. I feel like we'll talk about how focused this could have been in a little bit, but at times this reenactment side of what this, not necessarily what the story's about, but what the movie is presenting, it just feels like kind of, all right, let's go through. Let's get the next one done.
Right.
Let's get the next one done. Has there been a movie like this that has tackled everything from COVID-19 to Black Lives Matter? I'm not really sure, but it seems like audiences are torn if it is too soon or not soon enough. Astor has spoken extensively on knowing this was going to be polarizing, and from how I see it, the story, the meat of what this movie is about is kind of about polarization directly. Rather than about the whirlwind of these events. It's not necessarily about any one single event or even the broad stroke of what 2020 was. It's kind of about the messy relationships of what happens to the people involved. To me, this goes back to the very first trailer cut for the film, showing the many scenes through the lens of doom scrolling on social media. All of these events are just the background to our characters' lives, and how they react is the substance of the story. In the story, we primarily follow Joaquin Phoenix playing Joe Cross, the private sheriff of the small town Eddington, New Mexico, that sees them isolated from the larger world's issues that are spiraling out of control. Soon enough, though, the cluster bomb of 2020 will hit the town fully, though, and Joe sees this as a time for change. Running for mayor against the incumbent Ted Garcia, played by Pedro Pascal, he gets his 15 minutes of fame using the frustration of the town to his advantage. But just like real life and just like 2020, the hits just do not stop coming. And soon the tool of social media outrage turns on the sheriff's department in the wake of BLM. Just when the powder keg couldn't be stuffed any fuller, we see Joe's reaction overtake his decisions. And while he might blame it on the macro events swirling around him, in reality, things are always a lot more personal and a lot more dirtier than they appear. Folks, a lot like Beau's Afraid, this movie is a bit too long for its own good. And because of that, became a bit of a roller coaster on what I thought about it, act to act, even moment to moment. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of shifts in this. Maybe that's also a satire. When is it pulling off? When is it, kind of dancing on the line successfully? When is it not? But it kind of boils down to first act worked for me, kind of. Second act I actually quite enjoy and think it's worth checking out as far as the movie goes.
Okay.
And third act I was kind of off the train a little bit.
Okay. And what was your arc with this film? The walking out of the theater to right now, did it change a lot, or you had your thoughts pretty well solidified?
No, I had my thoughts solidified in the sense that I think the movie isn't necessarily about the events of 2020. It's more about messy characters giving context through 2020.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But for the most part, I mean, I've been on a roller coaster.
You have been. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what a lot of the times to think about this movie, or more so in a recommendation sense.
Yeah, I've definitely sat with it, had more clarity.
Okay.
Clarity coming from it. Yeah. It's funny. I really kind of look at this as one big ride. And how do I like it? Because if I pick apart the acts, I might even like the second act or the middle of the film kind of the worst. I think when I start to get interesting is when things really get interesting in almost a different kind of way.
Yep.
But kind of reflecting on it, I have to say, I like this movie, but boy, Ari Aster takes a long time to do what he needs to do. And the length of this film really kills it for me. It really brings the movie down where don't change a whole lot and just get rid of stuff. Mm-hmm. I think we actually get a much better film that could be way more positive on, and we could have and enjoy talking about. Mm-hmm. But it's just that length really draws it out, and it almost saps me. And at the same time, if he made even just a 2-hour film, not 2.5, it wouldn't be an Ari Aster film anymore.
Sure,
it wouldn't be his movie at all anymore.
Yeah.
Part of the length is part of him.
Yeah. and how his movies evolve to shock value eventually.
Right. And not saying the length would be perfect. Again, I almost don't hate the ride that we're on. Some of the COVID stuff, it's like, okay, like you said.
Been there, done that kind of stuff.
Well, it's do we have to check every box?
Yes.
Do we have to hit every trope?
Right.
If we are going to make it just 5 years after everything, you're doing a lot. Even Astor apparently went to multiple like Midwest small towns, like even to talk to local sheriffs.
Wow.
To say what was going on in your neck of the woods and everything like that. So I like that. The guy cares about this project.
Yeah.
It's long because he wanted it to be this long. To me, it's hurt in the end.
Yeah.
And even though I can pick apart what I don't like, especially maybe in that second act or when we're just getting more and more into maybe the COVID stuff, where it's just like, but overall, it's a ride. It's far too long.
Yeah. Exactly. For me, that's key to why it's a roller coaster, though, because I feel like there's enough time for me to almost settle with what each act is,
and to ponder
then,
with it. Okay, absolutely.
Walk away with like, did I like that or not? And that's times 3 over the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That first third, I think, is pretty much setting up all the familiar pieces of this 2020 setting and letting the Elvins speak for themselves. Touchy or not, I think that's where the satire of this comes into play. Everything from mask mandates to over-information on social media, real versus performative activism, and most of all neighborly distrust of the year. It's presenting these touchy subjects as they are, and not without a heaping handful of dark comedy. I feel like this was easily the funniest movie I've seen from Astor. I was trying to think this might be unexpectedly the funniest movie of the year. It's just like, I don't even know if I like that.
I don't like that, but I think you might be right.
Yeah, because I think the comedy did work, especially in this first half, where like there wasn't stakes. It was just kind of watching everyone not know the answers and be silly around it.
And to be honest with you, this movie is so weird and dark and unsettling at times that the more I thought about it, the more it was just like, oh, it actually was, I think, funnier than if I watch this a second time. I think I'll be laughing more.
Sure.
And that even more of the humor, and I'll pick up more on some of the other stuff would come out. Now, it's not a comedy, folks, but it is a
definitely dark comedy.
It is a darkish comedy. But even at that, because it's such a long movie, at times it's not a comedy, and at times it really is.
Exactly.
So it's not a consistency through the film.
There's something to that, though. I mean, dark comedy, satire. You probably gotta get a lot of different types of movies in that broad scope of it. But definitely falls in here. This movie does work in that capacity. I think just his ability to create a satire that punches on all sides of the issues. I've talked about this previously on the podcast. I think that, without being a writer myself, no less a comedic writer, I think that is a important keystone to why satire is satire, that it has to kind of punch in all directions and not have anyone on its side. I feel like this has that in the idiocracy of 2020.
I think this movie's going to get hate from some far righters and some far lefters.
Oh, yeah,
and
because they're going to get butthurt.
That's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
He does it better. I'll say this. It's way better done than in what's that Don't Look Up film that I can't stand.
You really can't stand that movie.
There's for like 10 different reasons that movie.
Right.
But,
certainly there's a lot smarter than that movie. So
yes, he does a good job at balancing that. Or in a way, also not caring. And he's, you know what I mean?
Exactly. There is a confidence. I'll get to it in a second, but like you kind of feel. Very, very poor choice in wording of this. You feel Astor's balls. He's got balls in this one. Like he almost doesn't give a shit about what people think.
Of it, yeah,
exactly. But that was also Beau is Afraid. That's if anything. Again, this is where I'm saying like I'm not trying to. I'm not a huge Astor fan. I do think I recognize a little bit of a new era for him.
I love that. Yeah. I hope that's what we get with Damien Chazelle.
Sure. Oh,
because he's another one.
He's got to get out of movie jail.
Right. Which Astor might be putting himself in.
Yeah, exactly. We might be talking about him that way. I think this story absolutely hit a stride, at least for me, in the middle act, though, where this messy personal mayor race is in full swing, and we see hypocrisy kind of woven into nearly every character in some way. This is also where I would say this is the closest it gets to being a Western in some way. The scene I'm referring to is Pedro and Joaquin meeting in a dusty street, and instead of a tumbleweed blowing by, it's a used mask.
Right.
I thought that was very intentional. But I thought this section was just entertaining, just like straight up entertaining, because it shows perfectly what I mean in saying that this story is about people and how they react to information rather than being directly about the events themselves. It really is about Joaquin's character and his relationship with his wife, Emma Stone, his relationship with Pedro Pascal as kind of an aggressor to him. All of that, it's personal relationships. But this middle chunk also gives us a healthy dose of small-town crime that reminded me, this is going to be probably high praise, but of like a Fargo or something Coen Brothers-esque.
No, I think there's a stench of that, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going too far there.
Okay. I just think, especially how the comedy is also blended into that.
Oh, yeah.
I get
it's
lot
Coen-y. It's Coen-y big time.
Absolutely.
It's not... Fargo, yes, but not There Will Be Blood. I'm sorry, No Country for Old Men.
Right.
By the way, that's kind of that's my big take on that, is that's a comedy, but but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fargo and There Will Be Blood, two very different Coens,
yes.
both kind of westerns, but different.
Yeah. But just that overall theme of small town crime, small town dark comedy.
Yes.
That's where the second act is hitting on, and we'll again
Blood
shifts
Simple.
once again.
Yeah.
Oh, so true. Yeah. But it's really here where, again, kind of dirty history, kind of gossipy history between our main characters is unpacked, and it's revealing what might be the driving force behind all of this. The last stretch of the film, however, is where I get off the hype train, almost exactly like Beau's Afraid, either outstays its welcome or becomes too obsessed with attempting shock value, and shock value unsuccessfully, I think.
Okay.
As it's hinted at the poster in our film, there is a pretty insane shootout at the climax of the story, and just becomes a little bit too ridiculous for me, even considering its comedic framework. I'll be honest, I think by this point, Aster isn't going to spell out the ending for you, but the loose threads of the story were more frustrating to me than thought-provoking. I felt like even in the moments of just like driving home, I was trying to unsuccessfully put together what were some hanging issues or hanging threads of these characters and kind of getting frustrated with that. But exactly like what we see in Beau's Afraid, where there's an animated sequence thrown in the last stretch of the film.
Yeah.
I really believe everything would hit so much harder if the runtime was just trimmed up a tiny bit. Give a cold, hard look at what's working in the first 2 hours leading up to this, because I think there is a lot that works in the first 2 hours leading up to this. I just feel like Aster... He works with the same editor on all of his films. I feel like, I don't know, maybe not get a new editor, of course, but like there needs to be...
It's him. It's all him. I mean, he's the one writing this. He's directing and writing.
Yeah, right.
The only writer. So
yeah, that's so true.
It is on him. He wants this to be his.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Unexpectedly, though, I would say I'm happy to kind of recommend this and say that it's somewhat worth checking out. Maybe not a repeat watch. Maybe not something you need to rush to the theater for, but worth watching in some sense to, again, see the balls that Aster has in creating his version of a time capsule. And I really mean that. There is a brazenness this has, that it doesn't care if it's pushing boundaries or it doesn't care that it's, punching on all sides. There is something to it there. While it's not the best A24 has to offer this year, I do think it is the most memorable by far. And here's hoping Ari Aster continues to make whatever his weird brain wants to spit out with just a little bit more help from his editor next time. We're going to go ahead and give Eddington a 64.
A 64%. I like this score.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of there. Again, I think I liked it more kind of just reflecting on it. I might watch it again because I actually think I'll like it again.
Sure.
By not a tiny amount, too. Yeah. But I think a lot of our feelings are kind of the same. I will say I think I enjoyed the end better than you.
Sure.
And the overall ride, I take it as one piece, one big chunk.
Yeah.
That just takes too long to do its thing. Even though maybe some parts where I'm not, do I need to live back in 2020 all that much? Maybe not.
Sure.
But the way he does it, it's like it's on the rails still.
Yeah.
Just like I said about, what's his name? Jeffrey Hunter's acting in The Searchers. It's wavering. It's like, do I like this? Do I not like this? No, but it stays on the rails. And I don't know, maybe I just, the fact that we had something a little bit more electric at the end had me. Like,
okay.
Maybe I'm that.
That's fair.
Maybe it's too basic of me to say that.
No. I get it.
The film itself, and we're in a small time New Mexico for 2 hours. It just feels, it's almost like if you take old like colonial beer, which was like 2%, and then finally at the end I just get like a modern day IPA.
You get a real beer.
Yeah. I just want to highlight though too, the film for $30 million looks good.
Yes.
It has a famous cinematographer on it. Like the same guy who did Seven.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Even so, the film for $30 million, a lot of people wouldn't get a as good a looking film as this that he does. And the performances are great. Joaquin Phoenix is still like a top 10 favorite actors or best actors. I don't know of all time, but like living top 5 actors. He continues to be phenomenal, and everyone else is doing a really good job. Emma Stone, not in it a bunch, not given a ton to do.
Yeah,
but what she does, it's like, well, she went for it.
She definitely went for it.
She took that role and just did it. And everybody is pretty much enjoyable in that kind of slate in that way.
Yeah.
So
even if you're sick to death of Pedro Pascal this summer, guess what?
It's true. Yeah,
he's pretty decent.
It's on Joaquin's shoulders through and through.
Yeah,
though. I mean, I stayed engaged with the film because of Joaquin.
Oh, for sure.
What he was able to do,
especially at what we both refer to as kind of like a shakeup at some point in the movie.
Yeah,
that is where I was at my most interested to just see where things are going to unfold with it.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so a 64%. Honestly, I'm glad that we have another a true modern day Western.
Yeah,
because we always think there's more, and there's not that many.
Right.
Finally, that compilation can get on the site soon. Maybe just a couple more I want to pocket.
Yeah. For real.
Excellent, Vin. I think the only other notes I have are questions. Anything else with Eddington, first of all?
I don't think so. Again, I want to be a little bit careful because if, again, the goal of both of his last films is kind of well, maybe all of his films is going towards shock value at the end. I want to be a little bit careful with spoilers on that.
Oh yeah, so. No, and also to your point, possibly worth a watch.
Yeah.
But it can be at home.
Yeah. If anything, a little bit better. I'm surprised. I don't know. I given how crowded the theater was, I thought maybe I would be interested in crowd reactions a little bit more, but I was pretty locked in on this.
Well, the guy next to me was probably laughing the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, you were picking up on
it?
No. He was laughing a little bit. He was laughing more than other people. You could tell he was the Astor fan, not his girlfriend.
Oh, right. She's like, all right, babe, let's go to Smurfs.
Okay, 64 for Eddington. I thought that was a great review. Only question I have here, actually, I forgot to ask this before with The Searchers, not to spend even more time with it.
Okay. You know what you're doing. Would
you enjoy, would you feel different about the film, for better or worse, if it was in black and white?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I think Ford could do it justice.
I think tonally, you would like it better.
Okay.
Visually, because it's so epic and sprawling, I think color, there's a good case to keep it color.
Yes, and I really mean like the colors pop. And I don't know if that relates to VistaVision specifically, but like this movie pops.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I would say... I think my main thing there would be that I know John Ford could do justice for it just because of Stagecoach and what we talk about with John Wayne's shots in Stagecoach, just being like, wow, this looks unusually good sometimes when they come up close on Wayne.
Well, think about in 1962, he does Man Who Shot Liberty Valance purposely on black and white.
That's so true.
There's some great shots on that.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was toying with it at all.
Yeah.
But tonally, it would talk about darkening up.
Yes.
And making a movie a little bit more thrilling,
That's so true. So true.
Just something I had in mind. But other than that, Vin, any notes on your side? Roll credits. What do we want to do next week?
Well, next week, obviously, a little pressed. This is the summer of being pressed, but it is going to be Fantastic Four week. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. We are doing, of course, the new Fantastic Four First Steps. Pretty excited, a little nervous with it, and also a little numb to it, honestly, after just a full
give it to me at this
superhero
point.
week. Yeah.
Just give it to me.
Yeah. I think Superman benefited from not covering superhero content for a while, so it was like really fresh kind of coming into it. Very excited for covering a unreleased Fantastic Four movie from 1994 with a outright fascinating story behind it. A lot more fascinating than the movie itself. So those are going to be the two we're going to be talking about next week. Obviously, a lot of time for the new Fantastic Four and seeing where we're going to go with the MCU.
All right, and I love that. Excited for next week. Vin, thank you so much for these reviews, for stopping by here to this evening. Folks at home, we'll write it down one more time. We have The Searchers with a 61% and total opposite, 2 shoes, 2 laces. Then we have The Unforgiven with a 60% and Eddington with a 64%. Folks, thank you so much. A big thanks to our EP of this episode, even though I butchered your last name. And we'll see you on the news show for Tuesday. And as always, we'll see you right back here on Thursday on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. Just a reminder that Daily Ratings is completely producer-supported. We want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in what we're doing here at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com, and while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Daily Ratings Podcast.